So let's look at the future now. Well, first is the long-term future of emoji is probably in the direction of what are called stickers, where people can buy or upload images that they want to use in their communication, and they can just send arbitrary images. So that way you can send your face, you can send an arbitrary picture that you picked off the net, you can send something that you bought from your carrier or from a system. Now, for the short and medium term, we see that emoji are still going to play a major role, partly because the world's infrastructure doesn't accept images in every location. So I happen to put an espresso cup in my email address, and it actually goes through all email systems, and more or less reliably you can see it. And if I look at an email archive with standard email archive software, I can see that character in it as well. The biggest issue that came out around Unicode 7.0, and we got about 6,000 news articles on emoji that were posted around the time of Unicode 7.0, happens to do with this problem. Now, anyone notice something about these 4 characters? And Peter, you can't say anything. They're all white. Bingo. Okay, well, we have a lone fellow with a turban. But the emoji characters were originally designed not to have any particular race or ethnic association, but the carrier symbols, when you look at them, are showing very particular images, and a lot of times these were copied by the artists in producing the first emoji sets. So this bothers a lot of people because they feel quite reasonably that they want to be able to represent what people around the world look like, and they're not all boys with, I guess, green eyes. It's hard for me to tell, I'm colorblind, but can anyone say if that's green? No. Green, hazel, something like that. So we put together a set of characters which are the emoji modifiers. This is a candidate list that's in TR51. And these show different ranges of skin tone. The way they work is that if you put them following a character, the software combine it into another character. So if you put them after a human figure, one of the human emojis, then they combine with that character and show the proper skin tone. The other part of this is that we're strongly recommending everyone to use generic, sort of unreal Homer Simpson style colors or John Boehner style colors for their faces, so that we see that it's actually not supposed to be associated with any real human skin tone. Now, the other side of this, of course, is that this can't. Part of the structure of this is that you can't produce the white boy unless you use the right skin tone. So we looked at a lot of different mechanisms for doing this. One was to just code a bunch of other characters with a variety of skin tones, but that explodes the number of emoji characters, and it also doesn't extend very well, because that means every time we add a person emoji, we're going to add 6 variations of this. So we put together this mechanism which allows us to deal reasonably well. And so if you look at the top couple of rows, you see that if I follow a human emoji by one of these swatches, that it can combine. I can see it in black and white or color. If I try to combine it with something else like a gas pump, which doesn't have gender except in German, and it's feminine, then we will see that it doesn't combine in that case. The fallback for an implementation that doesn't combine these, although all the major providers have software that will combine characters together, is to show the swatch by itself. And that still indicates, with the normal mechanism in emoji for providing a more complicated phrase, is to list emoji in sequence. And this still indicates that I'm attempting to send you an emoji with a skin color. So it conveys the information, maybe not as pretty way, but that way it degrades gracefully when you're dealing with an older system. Now, of course, when you're dealing with a system that just doesn't understand these new characters, you'll see a box, which still indicates there's something weird going on. So in the first version, this is the draft version again, and we're looking for feedback on this. There's a minimal set of emoji that should take these characters and combine. There's also an optional set that you could apply these characters to. This is one of the areas that we want to have feedback on for TR51 to see if we should tweak these sets in one way or another. So we'd appreciate public feedback on this. And TR51 just went out, I think Rick went out last night, last night. So there's a mechanism in there that you can provide feedback back on this. Now, one of the first questions people ask is, well, does this mean I'm going to have to pick a face in my palette and then go to some other palette and pick one of these color swatches? And the answer is, that what we foresee is that implementations do something like a long press, brings up a mini palette. You're used to this in a lot of systems, so that you can just pick the one that you want. So there's no need for this to be clumsy for the user, or any clumsier than if we had just encoded these additional characters. So what's in the future for emoji? We are actively working on a set of emoji to add to Unicode 8.0, and we have a set of candidates that we are working on right now. I think Peter and I are chairing a committee that is looking at adding these, and we're taking feedback from people on them, and we have something like 40-ish, I think, characters, a little bit higher than 40 characters that we're looking at this point. This will be for Unicode 8.0, which is coming out in this summer. And then this is a longer-term effort, so we have a committee which is looking at additions of emoji over time for 9.0, which is next summer, 10.0 the summer after, and so forth. So, Unicode also appreciates the interest and involvement of other major players. I'm not going to name any names here, but any organization that is supporting emoji and is supporting Unicode is welcome to join us in helping to define these sets.